Hello, Barendipitous here with another video for the Board Game Shelf, and here I'm showing two games in one, Urk and Far. Both of these games were made by, let's see, like Pack-O-Game essentially up here, although Chris Handy seems to be the name of the board game designer here. So I just kind of I was at a local game store like a month or so ago, and I just kind of found this little display by the cash register that had a bunch of these little games that were basically like pack of gum sized essentially, and I was quite intrigued. So I looked at them, and these two, and they were like $6 each. These two were the ones that interested me the most of the ones that were available. I looked on the website, Pack-O-Game's website, and there were several others that looked interesting, but they weren't at my local game store there. So I thought it'd be fun to, I'm very intrigued by like small games that do a lot with a little. I've heard of like wallet-sized games, basically games that are like just 18 like cards and that's it. That can fit in a wallet, which I think is really cool. I don't have any of those. I think it'd be fun to like try to design a game like this, or like those wallet games or whatever. But anyway, I'm going to show you how each of these works. So let's start with Far. All right. So this one reminded me of King Domino. I have a neighbor showed me King Domino sometime last year, and I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if I'll ever like get it or own it or anything, especially with all the other games I have. But this kind of goes along with sort of a similar idea. So the instruction booklet is here, kind of like this fold out sort of thing that explains how the rules work. And then this is the rest of the game right here. Of course, there's a little advertisement card talking about their other games and everything. But yeah, this is the rest of it. So first of all, there's all these cards that are like kings and queens of different colors. So you basically, each player chooses one color, so green, blue, yellow, or red, right? And each color has a king and a queen, right? The only difference between them is just like the colors of their tiles, which I'll explain in a moment. But if you're familiar with King Domino, you might have guessed that each of these different colors represent different like terrain or land types, essentially. You got like plains, water, forest, and, well, I guess desert, water, forest, and grass or grasslands or plains or something. So each player takes two of those, and this is the central castle right there. You just put these two cards together, and just like that. All right. The rest of these are every player takes two of these at random. These are just kind of like other cards that you can sort of play. And essentially, I'm just going to sort of place things down here. You just kind of play the cards wherever you want. The only real restriction is that so you may have noticed there's little white lines on the side. The white lines need to line up so that, so you can't have like white lines you can't have something like this or whatever. You can have it like this, or like this, or like this, if that makes sense. Lining up the white lines kind of keeps everything on a sort of grid. But everything else is basically free game. You can put things down horizontally or vertically, and so forth. And I'll just put a couple more cards down. And yeah, and also you can instead of playing one of your two cards that you have, you can also play your king or queen somewhere as well, right? Here, I'll put this here. Okay, so at the end of the game, you are able to basically you basically count points for each of the four terrain types based on what the biggest area that is open in your direction, right? And it depends on where you sit. So everyone kind of like has to sit around if you're playing two players, you have to sit on opposite ends. Four players sit on opposite ends of each other, and so on and so forth. So let's see. For example, if I was the green player in this small map, essentially, I would look for each of the four biomes, I look for the largest area that is not blocked by any card facing me. So if I'm sitting here on this side, let's look at grass. Okay, so grass there's one grass area that goes through 2 cards. You're counting the number of cards that the area goes through. Okay, 1, 2. This one is also 2, and this is 1. This is 1. This is 1, and so forth. Right? Things are not connected diagonally; they're connected horizontally and vertically. All right, 1, 2, or 1, 2, or just 1 here. Now, in this case, there's something in the way of this grassland here. Also, this grassland is kind of like not really facing, it's not open here. It's blocked by this desert piece. So this grassland is the only one that's open to me, so I get 1 point from grass. And now as far as water goes, again, I count like the number of areas, number of cards that a water area goes to. 1, 1, 1, 1, or 2 in this case. This one, unfortunately, is not open to me because this card is blocking. So once again, I only get 1 point because that's the largest area that I have. Desert and forest, same thing, right? This is probably a very like basic example, but it probably doesn't sound too exciting. But here, this image is actually a better indication of what a finished game might look like, and it gives this is really good at giving you an example of like what a game looks like and how people would score and everything like that. You score extra points. You also score points for where you have your monarch in. So even though I got only 1 point from desert, I also get another 2 points from this desert right here because I have my queen there, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. So yeah, it will look a lot more like something like this, right? You're trying to block other people, trying to keep other things open to you. Another thing too is that, and you can see how a single area can go through multiple cards. You see this forest here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually, and actually something important to keep in mind is that is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah. So yeah, the important thing to keep in mind is that unfortunately, if a area goes over more than 5 cards, then you can't score that. That is too much, basically. So you can't like try to have a whole like conglomerate area of desert or something like that, right? You can't really score from more than 5 cards. So anyway, there's that. That is Far. That's basically how that game goes. I played it once with my family. They thought it was cool. And I also showed this game to my neighborhood friend who showed me King Domino, and he thought it was cool. So I think that's really neat. A whole strategic game is right there in the space of a pack of gum. Which actually I think that's kind of funny that they call it sort of like pack of gum games. Which I get it. It makes sense. But also at the same time, like, I don't know when the last time was that I've seen a pack of gum in that particular kind of box, because I think gum these days is more in like those like flatter, like larger, flatter containers, right? Boxes like 5 gum or something like that. But no matter. Still, I think this is really cool. All right. So, I'm just going to put Far away. Far away. Also, another thing, too, is that just kind of like how Leader Games seems to make all of their games with 4 letters in the title, like Oath or Root or Arcs. This company seems to make all of these pack of gum games with 3-letter titles. So here we have Urk. This one is a lot more abstract. So basically, each of these cards has a bunch of like symbols and numbers and like colorful symbols and numbers and things like that. I have not played this. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it a little bit, but essentially, you are trying to score. You're trying to like put patterns down and create groups of letters and numbers and symbols to get the most points. But it is also possible to block other people as well, hence the Urk name, essentially. But yeah, this one seems to be a bit more complex than Far, so I haven't really dived into this. But I did think that, just looking at it, I got this game along with Far because it seemed kind of neat, and I do like abstract games sometimes. I think that, I think it can be fun to kind of like play around with the concepts that abstract games bring, because you don't as much as I like settings, and I like sort of like role playing in different settings or pretending, like Splendor or something like that. It can also be fun to kind of be in a more abstract environment and just focus on the strategy, right? So anyway, Far and Irk. That's just two of the like. I think they have like 20 or 30 of these like little games. I thought it was cool. Probably the smallest games that I own now. So unless you count that one hipster dice thing, it was just like one dice. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And until next time, all the best.